Good morning, people. And I forgot that we were already in the little stream. So, yes, we are ready. Hello and welcome. I know it has been a couple of minutes since we have been on the show. I think it's been a couple of weeks now, hasn't it, Marie?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We had our amazing summit, and forgive my voice, it's been a bit of a process, all this speaking and then resting and then going back into the teaching world, but we're excited to be back again.
Hmm. And this lovely throat issue that we're having, that most people in the collective are probably feeling at this minute, there are actually a lot of energetic shifts coming about that I'd just like to mention to everyone, to be aware of what you are rejecting in yourself. This is like a purge, and we need to really be aware of where it is and those things that we're not saying or doing. If it's in your throat, if it's in your tummy, then it's those fears and things that we're keeping ourselves limited by. So just be really aware of your energy at this time, people, and don't be afraid of it. So these viruses and these sicknesses that seem to be coming up out of the blue, ask yourself, are you actually feeling ill? Or is this just an annoyance that you need to get rid of? Because that there is a really, really good indicator as to whether or not you're just feeling an energetic shift. I had this a few weeks ago and there was no illness. It was just a weird tickle in the throat that just really annoying. It's like, get out, get out, get out. And what actually needed to get out was a few things needed to be said. And that frustration and that inhalt rage was like, oh, I actually feel fine now. It's clear. I can feel like, for the first time in months, actually, a really clear throat. And this is the beautiful shift, is once you're aware of it, it gets to go like that. And yes,
Yeah.
we have a new guest.
Yeah, thanks, Flea, for that. It's been interesting, even just like sitting with, like, what is it I'm not saying, but also like, is it time to quiet and just contemplate? So I've been doing lots of contemplation as well, and thinking about these blocks, these limiting beliefs, my expression. And our next beautiful guest also loves working with looking at our limiting beliefs and being able to, break through those barriers. And we're so excited that our next beautiful guest, all the way from Cyprus, is joining us. And it is late for her, beautiful Christiana. And she is a leadership discovery coach, parenting coach as well. I know she has girls like us, and we've had beautiful chats in the past about motherhood and leadership. And we're so excited to have you on because it is late there for you. Welcome, Christiana.
Hello, ladies. I'm so happy that I'm here with you again because I have to say the experience of the summit was amazing. Um, it was the organization and your vibe as well, but also the speakers that we were there. Like I was listening to the speakers, and I was like, each one of them had something magical to say, something so useful and so enlightening. So it's a time to say thank you to both of you because we didn't get the chance to to communicate it to both. So here is nighttime. There is early in the morning. Here is late at night. And I was listening to you now talking about the body and how it's giving us the messages. And it's so important to realize that, that we have all the answers. It's Mary says it's time to silence. Flea says it's time to speak. So it's about understanding, what your body wants to communicate with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And I found like before I lost my voice like to this level, I was like, right, I'm gonna speak my truth. And then I did, and then it was like, "Vroom, okay, you've done it now. Let's just rest. And there's more to process. Like you said, our body has the answers. And I know Flea and I talk about this wisdom that we have within us. And if we don't listen, then it forces us to wake up. And,
Yeah.
you know, Christiana, have you ever had any times in your life where you're like, I'm not listening to my body, and your body's just gone like, boom, stop?
Oh, of course. I had a massive burnout about 3 to 4 years ago. It was after my divorce, and I was trying to create my business as well. And I thought that I was superwoman. I kept going and going and going, and at some point it just crashed. It was so scary. Like I never expected that it would happen. I started getting really dizzy. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up. So since then, it was actually a wake up call for me because before that, I wouldn't stop ever. Like I was continuously going on and on and on doing things. And after that, I'm like, it was the last time, it was the second time. The first one was not as strong. So I said, look, next time is not going to be good because that one was scary. I mean, imagine how the next one is going to be. And then I started realizing what my body is trying to say every time to me. So now I stop. I stop to listen. But it took me time, I mean, I'm 45 years old. It took me time. I mean, I was around 40, like one, when it happened. And since then, I never stopped. It was like an ongoing process of doing things and, achieving things and being able to do everything and please everybody. So yes, it did happen, and still sometimes I lose it. Sometimes I'm like on the line to jump over, and I'm like, okay, stay back. You need to take care of yourself. Yeah.
I love that we've actually experienced the exact same journey. I'm 46 this year, and it's the same thing. It was like 40 hit. Facebook told me I was old, and I was like, why is that it? That can't be it. Like, there's so much more to life. Like, life just begins, and we're meant to have this time and this freedom and this passion. Where has that gone? And it was at that moment I started working at a particularly bad school, and it was just noticing that the kids didn't have that passion either. And I was like, wow, this is like global scale. This is a big problem, a massive thing that we are needing to shift here. And I love that you brought up, that keep going. Like, this too is an addiction, and that was one of the cards that popped out this morning. And those temptations to always be somewhere where your body doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
where, you know, you're getting clear signs that, okay, like, this is crap. And if it's crap, that's not going to sit good in your body. And it doesn't matter how much you try to work past it. And if I just please this person, then I'll feel fulfilled. If I just do this, then I'll receive that, like, thing that I'm seeking. But the thing
Yeah.
we're seeking is actually inside, and for us to just stop and go, hang on a sec, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a perfect, like, I've seen this card, the devil card and the temptation card that comes out, and I love oracles because it just allows me to bring what I already know out into the
Yeah.
world and to share that voice. It's like, okay, if this is the devil, if this is the darkness within all of us, this negative limiting thinking, these continuous cycles of doing things that make us feel sick,
Yeah.
how do we learn to stop and
Yeah.
listen to that? Like, what are some of the things that you've done? I've had a all over sort of journey, and it's only really coming in now for me.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that is very difficult to listen to it. I mean, imagine that we are in this personal development journey for so many years and we're getting, I mean, kicked by it still. Like recently, I mean, the past year, I started working with, my packages and sales coaching and stuff like that. And Well, how this journey started for me was my deep love of helping children. This is how I started. I was a child coach. Then it became I cannot help the children, so I need to help the parents. So maybe, we save the children before they grow up. So it was a passion for me. So I started having small gatherings of kids and then small gatherings of parents, and I committed myself and I said, even if I have one person, I'm still gonna do it. If it's 20 euro, I'm still gonna do it. So I was driven from my heart for many years. And then I got to a point that I felt that, everybody's moving forward and I'm not, and I have to go high ticket and I have to do all that stuff and the visibility stuff and whatever. So I drained myself. I mean, the past year for me, it was very draining because I focused on everything that is outside. How am I gonna succeed? How am I gonna do things that I like it, but it's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this month, I don't know if you noticed, but I got off social media for 1 month. And this was after 6 years full
Mm,
on. Like for 6 years, I have been active in everything, like posts, stories, everything. So I came to this point. I sat with myself and I said, I'm not happy. Like I'm doing this and I don't feel that I am happy. I don't feel that I help people. And that's why I'm doing it, because I want to help and I want to, by helping, I also learn and I also evolve. And I stopped doing that. I focused on sales, I focused on all the things that I'm not, because I thought that that was the process. So now that I'm off social media, like I have 10 days, no, 8 days till I go back on, and I'm not sure if I want to.
mm,
Because but I feel that I have to. I'm not sure if I want to yet. Like I still communicate with myself how I feel about this and how I'm gonna go back, because I'm gonna go differently back. I'm not gonna go as I was before. I don't want it. Like I don't want that. I'm visible enough. I'm important enough. I cannot compare myself. I cannot hustle so much. So I felt the need to connect with my heart. Like I came to a point and I said, okay, I get more money, but I don't see my girls, and I have more stress now. So what is the point? Is the point of having more money and not being connected? Or being connected and then let the money come in? It's different. And I see that it's better. It's effortless. It's less effort. I should say better, because sometimes it's not effortless. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So I don't know. I think it's tricky. It's very tricky to listen to what you want, because for me it wasn't easy to listen. I knew, but I
Yeah.
couldn't listen because I was always, I should have done that. If I don't do it, I'm going to miss out and somebody else is
Mm.
going to get my place. And I'm not going to have money to feed my children. And, these things were coming up in my mind until I said, I'm going to find a way. I just have to give myself some space, some time, right?
Oh, there was so much gold in that, and you have basically tied together the little knots and the little threads that are creating our lovely tapestry with the Awæcnian Academy. So it's the same type of thing. It's like, how do we choose wisely? How do we like make the right choices? And the card that I was showing there, oh, too bright. I wrote up the top, think with the heart, because it's like choose wisely. Well, what is it to choose? To choose, you have to think about it, but to really make that decision, you have to like feel it with your heart.
Yeah.
And that heart centered thinking that you're like, I don't really know if I want to go back, but I feel like I have to. And that have to is the flip side of this card. It's like, okay, think with your heart. I have to is the logic. So that's the thinking and the heart coming together. And it's like, well, there has to be another way. If one is saying one thing and the other is saying the opposite, there has to be an in between meeting point where there's another way. And that just reminded me, it's like, well, how can we organically share our businesses without having to hustle? without having to, like
Yeah.
push in the world. And it's things like this. It's getting your voice heard on different platforms with other people just experiencing life. It's allowing
Yeah.
other people to help you get that business in that support and exchange of services. And this is
Mm.
like what we're creating with our affiliate models, is to really just support and work together as a network where we can all build, because ultimately, like you've just mirrored my thoughts and a lot of my experiences. And in that, I'm like, oh, it reminded me of a thread that was shared with me yesterday. I've been going through these feminine codes and the opposite negative space to the geometrical patterns that have been basically how the world has operated in the patriarchal systems. There is a negative space which is just coming out in the last couple of weeks. It's probably been out for ages, but the explanation of it, this negative space being the feminine, being the curve that allows the flow. So all of the masculine shapes are all to a point. It's all one-sided. It's all lines and directional. The flow comes in to create that cycle where we build, where we come together and we move, like with the planet, like with the systems. All of everything comes back, and this beautiful awareness. I was like, oh, that's what I've been writing down for months. And the ego in me went straight away, oh yeah, because no thought's original. It's not your thought. And as you were talking, I'm like, these are my thoughts. You're like, you're saying my thoughts. That's my experience. I've had the same type of experience. And it's this feminine flow that allows us to think as one, because when we choose from the heart, rather than thinking logically, we're all in alignment. And that's when the positivity and the beauty gets to happen. That's where we get to work in collaboration rather than in war and conflict,
Yeah.
because we actually get to meet that with flow and allow that energy to continue through. And it's like so powerful. That
I
think
love,
and choose wisely.
yeah. And I think this piece about the heart that we've all come back to is like this heart rate coherence as well. There's something scientific as well that happens when you come from this place, and the expansion, it actually does connect back to your brain. And that meeting point, there is scientific evidence that shows that this place of feeling, of coming from this felt place of the heart, thinking through this way, actually does influence then your thoughts, your brain patterns, and your whole body. And
Yeah.
so when people start talking about breath work, heart rate coherence, calming the nervous system, like the nervous system is how we experience and feel and sense the world. And you mentioned burnout, and I know I've experienced burnout before, and so many people that are listening may have experienced it. And your body is overloaded so much so you feel like you can't feel anymore. And I think what you both said is so potent. And even like the last couple of days being unwell, I was meant to be in schools, and I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go because I have to go. And I didn't. I was like, nope, I'm just going to sleep. I'm going to go lie in the sun. My body needs rest. I'm going to do the things I tell other people to do and like
Yeah.
really listen. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Um, like a big part of what I do with my coaches is helping them set the boundaries to create the space, because it was something that I realized that was very important in my own process, to be able to first set the boundaries so you can have clarity. Because if we don't create the space, you cannot listen. You need to create the space also, of course, with meditation and breath work, but also the physical space, the time. And these are things that you have to understand why you need them. Like, why do I need some time for myself? Yes, we have been given the direction that, where it's egoistic and stuff like that, which is, of course, is not real. But knowing that only if I give the space, I will listen. I have to give the space so I can listen. And also, because I'm very connected with the next generations, like I feel like we have this huge, like we owe them, we owe them something better. And I'm always thinking, they see us. Like now, my girls, they see me. The young girls that I worked with, they see me. And if I am not doing, is what Marie said now, if I'm not doing what I say to other people, then I have done nothing, because they will see me burning out. They will see me,
Mm,
hustling and doing all this. And if I cannot stop, how am I gonna, show them the way to do it, right? So it's like a challenge, but it's also our calling to grow. It's needed. So yes, the collaboration that you mentioned before, I believe that is very important. And also, I believe that it's very important to connect with the people. I mean, we have all had enough with the information, with the promotion, I think we all had enough. And I think that everybody now is starting to feel it. Maybe we feel it a bit more earlier, but I see it coming. Like, I see that people are yearning to connect now. It's like, I don't know, I think COVID and the lockdowns did a lot of harm that is coming out now. Like, the lack
mm,
of the connection is strong. I feel that is stronger now. It wasn't
mm,
as much like last year. It wasn't as much, but now I feel that people are starting to feel it, that something is not right.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it takes time, but it's all a journey. For me, I'm learning who I am, what I came here to do. Yeah.
Mm. I love that you mentioned the kids and that, like we need to stop. We need to show them that we need to stop. And, as the older generation, like that's all we saw our parents do is just work, 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 work. You have to work to build this life so that you can retire by 50. Or I think, yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that's fantastic because for me, that's only another 4 years. And I'm like, oh, cool. But it's not that anymore. Like we've nearly doubled it. And it's like, okay, so I've got to work just as hard as my parents did for twice as long to I'm going, the average life in Australia is like 80 and I get to retire at 75. Like, what the hell? Like, no, that's not what it's all about. Just so that I can enjoy 5 years where my body is so frail and decrepit from all of the toxins and the poisons that I've absorbed by one, being in the wrong environment, eating the wrong foods because we don't have time to grow our own. We don't even have, proper foods in the stores anymore that aren't contaminated in some way. That like there's so
Yeah.
much that we're ingesting, and like you said, those young people, like it's the intuition. That's why we need to stop. It's that coming inside and like, hang on a sec, how can we do it better? How can we incorporate more time and less effort, like where we actually get to connect and love what we do so that it's not this constant battle with our bodies? And it
Yeah.
starts with knowing you. It starts with the coaching that you need to go, okay, well, as a parent, yeah, I need to understand myself. What is it I've been avoiding for the last 20, 30 years or whatever? What am I showing my kids with mine? Like mine was all body image. Like you had to be a certain way. You have to do these diets and this workout. Go, go, go. Sacrifice everything about yourself to be a certain way for a man. And it's like, okay, that's what I taught my kids. Yay. Like, or my big goal as a mother was to, bring up these independent, beautiful children that, just had a love for life. And they do. But a lot of that negative self talk and all of that I had for myself has passed on to them. And now trying to correct that behavior with language and to show them, actually, no, you're fine at whatever stage you are. As
Yeah.
long as you like you, it really doesn't matter. Do you like you? Is the weight that you're having stored around your middle, is that because you have self-hatred, because you're containing all those toxins and not looking after your body and listening to yourself? Like that's the intuition, that's the stop and pause. And scientists, you hit your midlife and all of a sudden you go wacky. It pretty much is, but for a lot of us it's happening earlier because we're seeing the ripple effects. We're seeing the
Yeah.
extent of, hang on a sec, we can't carry on like our parents did because our parents are in their retirement and having to go back to work.
Yeah.
Like my mum is still working now, working harder than she ever did. And it's like, wow, that's meant to be retirement.
I had a group before our live. I had a group with parents, And you know, I see them how stressed they are about not giving their children. I mean, this is what got me on this path as well, because I didn't want to transfer all my traumas and stuff to them.
Mm,
And what I was telling them just like half an hour ago was like, they don't need you to show so many things. They just want you
mm,
to walk by their side and just tell them that wherever they are, it's fine. Like if you can do that, it's good. If you cannot do
mm.
it, again, it's good. I mean, you don't have to reach anywhere because in our case, I don't know about how was your childhood, but our community here, because we're a small island as well, like everybody cared about being right, being, you know, the correct person, like you're doing everything well and you're tidy and so we didn't grow up to feel how it is to be in the age of 4, 5, 6. We always had to, you know, reach some point.
Mm.
And if we couldn't reach it, we were feeling like it's not enough, right? So now with my
And
girls,
I
I see the difference. Yeah, they do something and I'm like, hey, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I mean, you messed up. Hey, it's fine. You didn't even, I mean, you didn't know that before. So now you know something you didn't know before. And I see the difference of how calm their soul is. Like they know that
mm,
whatever happens, it's okay. I mean, isn't this the greatest gift that a parent can give to their child? Whatever happens, it's fine. You are learning the world. You are learning who you are. I mean, I'm 45 and I don't feel like I know who I am. You know, I'm still learning. I'm still getting confused sometimes. How can I ask a 5-year-old or a 20-year-old to know who they are?
well, it
So,
changes.
yeah, yeah,
And we know that by the roles we play. All you have to do is start listing who you are one by one. And that's how many times you've changed. That's how many times you've accepted something and created an identity with it.
yeah,
The roles that we play, the mother, the sister, the best friend, the businesswoman, you can go back to what you did while you're in college or after school, or those first jobs. Like I was a sales assistant and a fashion designer and a this and a that. Like there's so many
yeah.
changes. How can we say, oh, I'm just going to be one?
It's
I think
impossible.
also I think also developmentally, a lot of I think us three have looked at psychology a lot. Like Flea and I both being teachers, you working with young people, the developmental stages of how we also absorb information, understand our emotional development, also looking at our hormones, adrenal, you know, if I was listening to this podcast yesterday about when we can understand like the dynamic changes that happen in the developmental stages of not only our human development but also culture, society.
Mm,
And if we looked at those changes and those patterns and could understand that more, then I think we would be way more empathetic and compassionate. Like, if you look at the developmental stages of, like, 7 and under, they're absorbing so much. And so, like, I suppose any of us that are listening, if you're parents, there is so much research that says that's the most important time to, like, frame their identity, because how you then play, how they absorb information, how they're, looking at their eating patterns and things like that, how you talk to them, how you reward them, how you punish them, all of that gets absorbed and starts framing how they start to connect in the world. When we think about teenagers, my goodness, it's the hardest freaking developmental time. I mean,
yeah,
it's all change. But to be a teenager and to go through those big hormonal shifts, like, for girls coming into getting their cycle, going through menarche, going through their periods, their sexual hormones, boys lose their empathy
Mm,
because of their testosterone. And like, imagine if we taught that more to our young people to go, this is actually, I know they do in science and they do things in biology. Like, do we really understand these phases and these developmental stages? And also look at it at a cultural standpoint, like, the way that you were brought up in an island proper, things are done this way. I know, you know, being half Filipino, there's cultural sides of things that are like, girls can only do this, boys can do that. You know, we think about wars, we think about, you know, Flea was talking about the patriarchal society, like the way that we have developmentally shifted as humans. It's like that's not working. Are we really learning the lessons and changing the micro within us so then we can start that ripple effect? Because this isn't working anymore. How do we do more
That's
of
a
this?
hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the circular. How do we come into circle and talk, and it's a feminine flow. It's a different way. So how can we hold space? Yeah.
Mm.
It's the sideways
Yeah.
and backwards. It's the merging, because it joins everything together. If you look at the flower of life, which most of mathematics and geometry and everything is based off of that, they're talking about the straight angles and the ones that clearly define. Like, this is a circle, 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 circle. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's the circle. And then you start going into these other shapes that are angular, and they're taking that angle as being specific, and it's like, but that's only part of the perspective. If you look at an angle, there's all of this negative space, and we as humans are the same. Our perspective goes so far. We don't get to see what's behind us. We don't get to know what's there. We only see what is in front of us. We can feel more, because that feeling is that circular energy that's all around us. It's the feminine energy that runs through all of us. It's our Taurus field that is in and out everywhere. That feels everything. And it's not limited by the angles of patriarchy, which is the hierarchy system that everybody follows this rule and this structure. When you take that into that circle and you make that flow, creation is just so expansive past that point, because we're taking people's gifts, their innate human abilities, and we're seeing all of that.
Yeah.
You know, I think that as women, it's we kind of lost the feminine energy. Can you hear me well? Can you hear myself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think that we invested a lot in the masculine energy as women. And I feel that this is something that we need to go back. Like today, I was speaking with this lady, and she was strong about diminishing men and that we overdid it, and at some point I was thinking about it, and I was like, yes, I also feel like we need more feminine energy. It's like we forgot as well. And this running to do, I mean, I was checking out some research about the millennials and before, and I saw that women before the millennials, they they invested a lot in the culture of I can do everything, I can do it all, because they wanted to get out of this serving the man. And in the I can do it all, they started burning out. So then we, the millennials, arrived, and we also continued the culture, but also we are the ones that realized that it doesn't work. But we haven't yet found the way to come back to the feminine energy. I mean, we are the millennials. I mean, it's our ages, and still I see that we our age haven't yet found the way to relax, to come back to the feminine energy. I mean, collectively. And now the problem is that the next generation from ours, they have higher stress than we have, which means that our position in this moment is very important, the millennial women, because we have gone through the hustle and grinding, and we saw that it doesn't work. And now we have the next generations which are focused on image, on outside, and now we are in the middle. We know that it's not going to work. We know that if they continue like that, it's not going to work. And it's sometimes I feel the challenge. I feel like, stop, don't do that. But again, you cannot stop them. You just show them that there's another way other than what you're experiencing, and where they're heading, because you see them, they're not happy, the younger generations now.
Definitely. Oh, Flea's back. Yay.
Hello.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, I was in a school last week. Oh, well, this same school is an Indigenous school. So there are kids that come from that really low socioeconomic background. And I could see boys and girls just not having the resilience to work through something, and just giving up straight away and just having tantrums. They're like 10 years old, throwing things off the decks. I can't do it. Can't do it, you know? And it's like, okay, what's happening at home? Why is this attention coming through here? And then, when you talk to people, a lot of the time, if they've got family members that parents are super busy and working in that hustle, 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 maybe they're not getting fed. Maybe they have siblings that have high needs. Maybe they're the ones that have to feed the other children because the parents are so busy at 10. This has to change. And yeah, and part of me wants to save everybody, but I can't. So all I can only do is just, work on myself and the people that are ready to connect with me and Flea or my family or other things we're doing. It's like, okay, they're the ones that are ready and we can make a ripple effect happen. I hear about all the horrible things that are happening in the world, and my heart does go out, but I can't be heartbroken all the time. And it is keeping that mindset and that mission of like, okay, we need to make a change for the next generation. So what is it that we can do in our communities? What we can do, even in this global way of talking about it, to bring
Yeah.
awareness. And I notice my voice clearing more as I speak into this. Like,
Mhm.
this part of, the self-care, but also like noticing the collective. So I love that you brought that in, Christiana, because you know, there are lots of people that we see embodying, this work. So how do we now start to bring that awareness broader so more of us can do that? And we see all of the little ripple effects. And I suppose, like yourself, this is why Flea and I created the academy, to tap into the adults and the leaders first, because then we know that there is like a ripple effect down to the children and the communities and rising into our leadership. So, yeah, I love what you've brought through there, because I know Flea and I talk about this a lot, and I love this work of, that divine feminine energy coming in to harmonize. And our
Mm.
men, our boys need to see that so they can remember their light and their power. So then we don't have to. And
Yeah.
then we'll be, harmonized.
So that there is what I was, before I got cut off, I was about to mention is we actually have found the way. The patriarchal system and the feminine system together is the way, because that flower of life still has the point, it still has the triangle, but it's open. So our hierarchy goes down at the moment. So it's, this up the top rules down the bottom. When you flip that upside down and that is open at the top, and then you add the touch into it where it brings that cycle back, that's when that infinite symbol starts. It's a combined energy of both the men and the female. I definitely do not advocate for women needing to rule the power and do all. Like, no, that's not it. It's how we work together. It's how we bring the two energies. Okay, we've got these structures. We've got an education system. Education systems are great. They're just not teaching in the right way. They're not teaching from the heart. They're not teaching for the heart. And that's the difference. Is the system is perfectly well structured. We can get kids into schools, but can we teach them from the heart? Can we teach them to find their heart? That's the difference. And that's the adding the feminine into the already masculine structure. That's how we
Wow.
start. We start with what's already in place and we add that feminine energy. We show that we think with our feelings rather than we think with our logic. Because when we think with our logic, we've got a block. You have to flip the cycle. You have to think with your heart and feel with your head. Does it feel right? Does it feel Like, this is the best direction for everyone, because we can only live happily when everybody else is in harmony. Because if there's conflict outside our reality, then there's conflict in ours. So we
Yeah,
do have a way.
exactly.
It's just we have to have equal
Yeah.
willing.
And you know, when we do embrace the feminine energy, when we women embrace it, I mean, we will also give space to the masculine the way that it has to be. Because, like, now I see some clash between women and men, and I saw in this connection, like, I work with women a lot, so I see their need to connect, but also I see that they are fearful of connecting, of reaching out, of opening up. And then I see
Mm,
men doing the same. It's like they are now, men are scared of women and women are scared of men. But if we all, embrace our energies, like the feminine and the masculine, it will flow again. And it will be,
mhm,
I think this is where balance will happen again, when we start embracing each our energy. So we have to step back a little bit. And also, I think that, we like it. Like, women are meant to be the flow. We are meant to be the silence, the peace, and we need to let them do the fast pace, what they're good in doing. Um,
mm,
like, last week I went to a company, and we were doing about emotion awareness, and at some point we're doing some techniques, and I gave them, the anti-stress drawings that you're coloring in. So I said,
yeah.
I would like you to just color for like 7 minutes and just experience it and see how you feel. And some of the men started laughing. And I said, this is for my kids. It's not for me. I'm not going to color. And I said, look, you can decide not to do it ever again in your life. But for these 7 minutes, could you give it a chance? Like, just, try. And they all started coloring. And I was in so much bliss watching them. Like, they were all
Mhm,
so calm and so connected, and you could feel the energy like flowing in the room in such a peaceful way, so light. And I was thinking, this is what we are here to do. This is what a woman
mhm,
can do. I mean, if you don't give the space for that to happen, it will not
mm.
happen. And we are the ones to do that. We are able to do it.
It's so perfect. I actually, 2 Christmases ago, I did a novelty Christmas where I just went and bought dollar store items, and it was like a lucky dip. And my children are in their 20s, so their boyfriends are in the similar age groups, and they had pulled out the little colouring pencil cases, and it was like, it had a picture on there, and then you got to colour it in. They sat there for hours colouring that in. It was like, wow, this is so cool that the boys actually got to be boys, and oh, I forgot how much fun this was, and you know that that energy. But they are the younger generation, so they are still open to a little bit more woo woo. And I had to put down the rules that they had to be children for the time that we were doing this activity. So to embrace that, and they did, and it was time just flew. They were there, they finished their pencil cases, they took all of their gifts home in a little goodie bag, all stuff that was meant to go in a bin after they'd destroyed and played with it for a little bit. But that coloring, it was fantastic just watching them. It was like, wow, they're really getting into that.
Yeah,
When does that stop, and why does that stop?
yeah,
that
exactly, exactly.
that joy, that time for yourself. Like, why is it that men believe that they can't have time to themselves?
Yeah, and to do
It's
things
the inner
like that.
child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
The inner
Yeah,
child, allowing that to come out. Yeah.
yeah,
It's interesting when I talk to my husband about, these things, these things. He's pretty up there in his awareness, but he still, has moments where he holds himself back and we talk about these things, and I'm like, when we had our daughter, it was this permission piece to play
Mm,
more. And as she's 8 now, I see, particularly within the last year, after him having surgery and his own trauma to process, he's more playful now. So I see him
Mm.
joking more, and I see him like doing more silly faces, and just that affectionate side that, I suppose his little boy didn't really get to have as much. And I think it's really beautiful to witness. But isn't it funny that it takes sometimes children to remind ourselves
Mm.
to like play and stop and be silly and laugh, because we never did that together, you know. I found myself in the classroom being quite funny. Like kids would laugh at me all the time because I'd be silly, and but at home I'm like, no one laughs at me at home. I must be so serious. And we never like joked really much
Mm.
beforehand. Like we would have nice calm moments and do things together, but I've seen this other side of him just really open up a lot more with our daughter in that playfulness, and he'll color with her, and he'll do do stuff and he'll come feed the chickens with me, or
Mm.
and I think, how can we do that more with each other without having the children in the room, but to tap
Yes.
into that inner child, right?
Yeah.
You just do it. Why does it have to stop? And that's the thing, like Aya's going to get older. She's going to grow up and she's going to think you're silly, but you continuing that behavior, you continuing to have fun with each other gives her permission to as well. And that's what stops the 8 is where that identity kicks in. By the time they're 12 and the hormones are there, then they've had a complete shift. They won't want to play with mummy and daddy anymore. They need to find themselves. And if you don't give them permission at home to have safety in themselves, then they won't have that safety to show that out in the real world.
Yeah. But it's like you're learning anew, because when you become a mother, automatically you become your mother. So it's like if she's serious, you think that you have to be serious, and like my mom is more playful than I am. But what I got from my daughter is like one day I was sitting on my computer and one passes from my door and she was like, "Shh, shh, shh," and she goes. Then the other one comes to go to the toilet and she's like, and I was just sitting there on the computer and I was like, oh my God, they're so lucky, like, when did I do that? And then I got up to go to the kitchen and I was like, it's like you remember, you get to their world, which is much better because they are present, they have fun, they cry whenever they want, they express whenever they want. So I am learning a lot from my kids, a lot.
Mm.
Many things I see and I say, oh my God, we were like that. How did we end up like this? I mean, you're so perfect when you come in this world. So it's nice. It's nice to be the way or the reason that people remember to come back to their greatness. And in the same way, I don't know. I think it's what Marie said now. We forget that we should keep it alive. It's not that you don't want, it's like you feel like you have gone to another level or to another part of life that this is finished. But when you start doing it again, it's like, oh, I can still do it. I can still be a little bit, crazy and a little bit playful. And then you like it. And then when you do it, don't you like it?
Mm. I
Yeah.
love it. I'm the big kid, so I do weird things all the time. I saw Caramello Koala jumping along the bench yesterday and had to sing the song because it's like, oh, they call me Caramello Koala. It's why not? Like
Yeah.
really. And I'm little too, so it kind of goes with the persona. Oh, little child, little person, you're down there. And it's like I refuse to fall into this game of I'm old and therefore I have to be this way. It's like I will be the crazy old lady in the nursing home causing all of the problems because you can't tell me what to do and I'm going to continue to have fun. That's what this whole experience is all about. How do we get as much enjoyment as we can throughout our day? And if your days are bad, well, pretend they're not.
Yeah. Well, I
That's the
admit, I
beauty of
admit that I lost it. I, I lost my playfulness at some point. I forgot. And they reminded me. At some point, I did something really stupid, like I was playing around, and she said, "Mom, you do things like that." And I stopped and I was like, "Oh my God, my kids haven't seen me like I used to be, like when I was lighter." And since then, I started finding it again because I forgot. It's like I got caught into this doing things and moving forward, and I forgot that I need to have fun as well. I am fun. I forgot that
Yeah.
I'm fun. Yeah.
Oh, I
We are.
love that. We are. That's a beautiful way to end because I know it's getting close to midnight for you. I am fun. I love that. The I am statements. And if you're listening in, I suggest you say that to yourself and have a laugh and
Oh, you can
go
go
and do
through all
something
the
fun.
chapters too.
Yeah.
The I
Yeah.
am, I feel fun. I
I
feel
am
joy.
fun.
I feel
And
excitement.
something exciting, Christiana, you're planning, which I think is fun in the professional world. You've got an amazing event happening in November that you're planning. Would you like to just tell us a little bit more about it? I'm like,
Yes.
if we could fly there, we might come and join you one day.
Yes, I wish you were closer. Yes, we are having an event. It's a speaking event. It's going to be devoted on feminine power and feminine energy. And the reason that we are doing it is because we actually want to give the tools to women to come back, to the feminine energy, to come back to their center, and step a little bit away from the masculine, because I see that everything what they are taught, especially in the workplace, it's more about the masculine. So we want to take it back. We want to bring it back to the feminine, to the center. And what's amazing about our event, which makes it really special, it's the interactive part of it. Like the speakers are interactive, each one in their way with the audience. So the audience is not just watching and listening. They're also taking part in the whole process. And actually, our last year's event was like this as well, and it was amazing how like 400 people connected with each other, which is amazing to see. Like such a big crowd, they were asking questions and they were communicating like we were a gang of like 5 people, So we're keep moving forward and making it bigger this year. We were 2 speakers last year. This year, we're going to be 10 to 12 speakers. We're going to have a lineup of 10 to 12. And I really look forward. I wish you could come. And if you can, join us. But I know that it's very far. My parents
Or
have been in
maybe we'll
Australia.
put it out there into the universe
Yeah,
and then let's see what happens. Lee has
yeah.
If we need
envisaged,
to, we will be there.
you will
Sorry.
say that
If we
again.
need to be there, then we will be there. That's
Yes,
how it
Yes,
yes,
works,
the
isn't it?
universe will bring us there. Flea,
yes.
Flea has envisaged beaches, and she's like, "We're traveling somewhere. Maybe we're coming to see you."
Yes. Nah, you're gonna love it. I'm gonna be very happy if you do come. I'm gonna show you around, and yes, it will be amazing. But you are also creating a lot of fun stuff and interesting stuff this year, right? I saw the summits that you are coming up, all different and all very interesting. You're touching every every side of the things, the motherhoods, the teenagers. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So yes, we have great stuff coming up, and this connection, I love it. I love that we can communicate from the other side of the world and connect the centers.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing! And so,
Just
Christiana,
expanding
how
ideas.
expanding ideas? Yeah. And so, how can people connect with you if they want to come and find you, or if they're in near Cyprus, or if they're around that area, or maybe they're flying in there around November and they want to
Yeah.
speak? How can they come and find you?
Well, if they search Christiana Gini in all social media, they will find me, and also my website, Christiana Gini. And for women that do want to get connected more with their inner self and their center, I have this special process which is called inner metamorphosis. And it's all about finding your center again and connecting to your true essence. So reach out anywhere that you would love to talk. I mean, I know that everyone has their special platform on social media, so reach out. I'll be very very happy to answer any questions you have.
Beautiful.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, ladies. I
Oh,
mean, it's
thank
12 o'clock and
You.
I'm still awake here and enjoying it, you
Oh,
know?
you've done well. You've done well. Thank you. And like you
Mm,
said, we've got a few different summits coming up, but there's one in August. I can't even talk now. There's one in August, isn't there, Fleet, that we're excited to be promoting and sharing. Do you want to tell
yeah.
us a little bit more about that?
This is the beautiful turnkey event, turnkey transformations. So, this is all of the spiritual insight, the ancient wisdom's teachings. It's diving into astral and quantum. It is pretty much the next level for any spiritual light worker, healer, anyone on their path and journey that has already kind of gone through their awareness phase. Um, Even those just intrigued by some of the unnatural and the supernatural, that's always a good place to start. And that is
The 10th
we
to
changed the
the,
date, the 10th to
oh,
the 14th, wasn't it?
yes, that's
Yes,
right.
of August.
Oh, yes. And then there's a mum one, and then there's a youth one. So come and check out our website, and we will share with you soon. Thank you so much, Christiana, for joining us, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
later.
Thank you very much, ladies. Sending you love.
You.
Bye.